Already, and it's live. Sweet.
Okay.
All right, so welcome to Retailer Roundtable number 19. I have Patrick Green with Mutant Beaver Comics and Jesse James with Jesse James Comics and Comic Book Shopping Network. How are you doing today?
Doing great, sir.
I am doing fantastic. You're out there on the floor, you're slinging books, you're selling books online, you're talking to people on eBay, you're doing this, you're doing that. I mean, it is an amazing time to be in the comic book world if you know the right venues to push those books to. So it's. I think my days have become crazy is now normal. So.
Yeah, I definitely feel that.
Yeah, the new normal. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, at least we're doing something we love. And, if we're here for 12, 16, 20 hours, then it's not too bad.
Right. And I think the expectation when you talk to customers nowadays is you're filling that void that they have. You're filling that bad day that they have. You're giving them something that they love. I think we love comics in general. I don't think you see me out there saying everybody's got to buy Hawkeye and NFL Super Pros. No, let's find out what you like. And I think that makes the day extremely easy on my end to know that we're creating history with these consumers. I still find it crazy. It's just showing someone our numbers for Comic Book Shopping Network. To think that a customer shops with us 4 days a week, I couldn't get my pull box holders when I was carrying new issues to come in that week. So it's this evolution that you're trying to evolve, but you're also trying to say, okay, are we so far ahead, or are we just like at the brink of what new is going to happen tomorrow?
I wasn't ready for these awesome questions, Jesse. That's wow. That is. I haven't thought about that yet.
Yep.
Yeah, no, times definitely changed for sure. I feel that as well.
In your neck of the world, Patrick, are you seeing more inner traffic? Are you seeing more outer traffic? Where are you right now?
Well, I'm online only. I don't have a brick and mortar. Okay. But we've seen a huge increase in our sales since the pandemic started. We're coming off our best month ever, and before that, the previous best month was the month before that. So, June was spectacular, and July beat it. Now we're into August, so we're just flat out. I feel bad saying this, but 2020 has been good to us from a sales point of view.
Yeah,
right. And where's your trend coming from? Where is it? Midline, highline, direct? What is going on with you?
Honestly, it's a little bit of everything.
Okay.
It's back issues. It's some of our new exclusives. It's older exclusives that old stock, which is always great to sell.
Yeah.
So it's really a little bit of everything. It's kind of hard to nail down where, you know what I mean? Like it seems to be coming from all directions.
Okay.
Yeah,
and that's something that we're getting ready to debut. And in fact, I should have done it for the show, but I'm so far behind on unpacking. So we're debuting our 290th store exclusive today, and then Friday we have our 291st. So we're excited about it, but we're in this mode that we now realize, our 500 show, we had 450 exclusives for that show, total titles. It was 5 titles, 450, but we sold out in 30 minutes. And so we're trying to figure out, that's great turns, right? That's great sell-throughs, but how many people are we selling no to? And again, I'm doing live shows, so we're making decisions within seconds, sometimes milliseconds. And so this new pattern, it's become this kind of mega challenge. I was just talking to my manager, and when we were carrying new issues, we were getting about 4,500 to 5,000 new issues every week. That was our normal bill. We now sell between 5,000 and 6,000 books a week that we literally just grab. There's no rhyme or reason. And so that's the trend I think is awesome, but it's also scary. You can run out of books. And I think the key that you said is if you sell someone your exclusive, I don't have all 289 exclusives to sell. I have about 60 left.
Yes.
Those people want all 60.
Yeah. The completionists for sure do.
Right.
Yeah, I hear you there.
This week for us, I mean, it's been with them debuting the Doctor Doom Fantastic 425 cover from Archer. I mean, we're more limited to the artists or the covers we carry, but seeing a resurgence in Fantastic Four #1 and #2 again with those covers has just been fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic to say the least, I guess. But I mean, that's one of those things where when we see the trends, I try to go look elsewhere and be like, because I'll see 2 or 3 books and like 5 sells over a weekend, and I'm like, okay, we haven't moved these in a couple weeks. Why did these sell? And it's kind of fun to find out like why what book is trending that week and why a lot of times.
Yeah, and I think that what we have to watch out for is watching a show this week, and they were talking about the Kamala Khan cover that sold for $2,500, Miss Marvel, whatever issue it is, second print. Wow, great, awesome. But I think what it comes down to is if you get that customer who's buying, I was joking around. We had a customer buy $5 from us on a live show 2-3 days ago, and he spent about $1,200 on these $5, and it was like boom, 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 gone. Yet I have people in the room that's only buy $1 and $2 that spend $1,200 a week with me, right? On $2 books, $3 books, sometimes 5. When they buy a $5 book, we're like, holy cow, they bought a $5 book. But then I'm looking at it and saying, oh my gosh, they spent $1,200, but the margins on that $1,200 versus the margins on the 5 books are huge. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's getting that plethora of books out there. I think if, for instance, when we do show Art Germ stuff, and I'm kind of like, they're like, I'll take all the Art Germs. I'm like, but do you know what titles you're buying? And then I think in my head, what am I doing? They want them. Who cares, right? Yeah. Because some of the titles, I'm like, wait, you want that? Oh, Art Germ's on the cover. Yeah. And, I'm an 80s boy selling an 80 and from 1982 up. Back in 1982, what was on the cover was inside. Yeah. Now we don't really do that. So now you're kind of, and obviously I've been doing this a long time, so I've adjusted to it. But now you're kind of selling the cover as a whole, and the inside isn't topical. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. We sell a lot of books based on just on the cover.
Yeah. Right. Who is pushing for you right now, Patrick, as far as cover artists go?
Lately we've had done some Venom covers with In-Hyuk Lee.
Okay.
Have done very well for us. And actually with Thor and Venom have been our 2 best sellers, or 2 best exclusives lately. They each had an In-Hyuk Lee cover. We had some success recently with Peach as well. But not so much. We don't have much lined up now for Peach coming up, I don't think, because she's quite busy doing other stuff, I believe.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And then, is it Scan or Scan or?
I always thought it was Scan.
Scan, okay. So he did some great covers for us as well. We had 2 Venom 26s and 2 Venom 27s.
Okay.
That all 4 of them sold out for us.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So, as you guys know, Venom is crazy hot right now.
Right.
So
you're staying at the 3,000 print runs. Where are you at on that?
Sometimes in those latest ones, yes, just because they're in such demand. Yeah. Sometimes we do less than 300 or 3,000 on a trade dress.
Okay.
But not on something that popular. We would do the full 3,000.
Okay. All right. And what are the publishers that you're focused on? Is it just Marvel, or are you pushing yourself?
We got Marvel and DC, and we do some indie stuff. Like, what else we just did Big Girls, for example. That was with Peach. So yeah, we have a mix of stuff. We don't generally stick with one thing. Like my store is partnered with the Comic Mint and Sad Lemon and 789.
Right.
And Josh is spot on the West Coast too.
Okay.
And we're a sync. Yeah.
So you're doing joint covers. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. We're in a group. Yeah. So we're splitting them up amongst 5 stores in total. So 2 USA stores, 2 UK stores, and then myself here in Canada.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, that's back in the day. That's how I used to do it. But now that we try to stay with indie because obviously we can do 300, 250, max it out, sell it out in 20, 30 minutes. But there's so many ways to do exclusives now. Comic Book Shopping Network just signed a huge deal with Scout, so we have 26 exclusives coming out. We have 16 number ones and 10 trades. So it's about forecasting now, and I think it's really about looking at 3 months out and making sure you're sticked every week with something. I know in the Marvel DC world that's a little bit tougher, but in the indie world, we literally, I believe by December, I'll have about 60 plus exclusives come out. But the ones that we do pick, we know we're going to sell out of. In fact, I saw someone trying to do an exclusive that I had done with, I'm not going to mention the publisher today. And they sent the picture to me and they said, what do you think about that? I'm like, that's the best exclusive I've ever seen because it's mine. I'm like, come on, you got to be original, guys. Just changing the background and thinking I wouldn't notice that you're doing a different exclusive cover. It is fun. I think people out there listening to the show who will listen to it ever or afterwards, opening up the box and seeing your exclusive. In our case, we hide our logo somewhere in their Easter egg. We own our back covers and we promote and do whatever we have to do. But there's that joy because when you really look at it out of whatever it is, 1,700 comic book stores, there's really only 20 stores that actually do this correctly.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when you say you're doing this question for you, when you're doing the indies, so obviously if you're doing that many, they're not just number ones, then are they?
So our deal with Scout is number ones, but so I work a little bit different, and I guess when you've done this many exclusives, you start to have your way, right? This is the way we do it. So, for instance, we have our Stabby Bunny number one coming out this week. Well, obviously that came out a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
So when we go to companies, we kind of try to drive our business towards a key on top of a key. So obviously, if we know a new book is coming out and it's issue 16, we're going to try to shoot for it. But I'm like a historical person, so because I sit there and I say, listen, how many people buy Stabby Bunny? And so if we do an exclusive for number one, well, guess what? I also bought 2 through 11 in droves. So when they buy my number one exclusive and they get it, and hopefully they read it, the great thing about it is, where'd I get the rest of these? We got you covered. So we do, like, for instance, we'll have Stabby Bunny on the 28th, which is our anniversary date, Jack Kirby's birthday, by the way. We will offer that as an exclusive, as a single, or we will offer it as an exclusive with 2 through 11. And we're really mass market. I always joke around with people that during my particular shows, they're called the binge bar, in 2 hours, if we sell less than about 500 books, we've had a bad show. But that also means you have to put together a good show that makes sense, and you also have to drive the business. And so if I was watching someone's show today and they had a Stabby Bunny number 9 and he's selling this number 9, and I'm like, so the guy says, well, what's Stabby Bunny? And so he tells him, he goes, well, I'll take that number 9. I'm thinking, what is that? Like, how's the guy then know what he's even reading on 9? Where's 1 and 7? So I think we're in a world where we are introducing books to people that they might not be familiar with. That's the first thing. And number 2, we need to work with that publisher to say, let us help you sell more books. And so I've really been smart. Now, obviously, everybody knows most of my exclusives are with Polito and Lady Death and Marat Michaels and Do You Poos and I think we've done 16 with him now. So we try to stay within a pattern. So right now we are doing Iron Maiden homage covers with Do You Poo. So we know those Iron Maiden fans are going to want every single one. And so that's kind of the route we're going. But I don't know how you guys choose it. Do you have one person choose and then they present to you guys, or?
For us, with the partners, is more of a committee, like it's a group decision. But yeah, a lot of times somebody will make a suggestion, say, "Oh, hey, this book's coming out. Say, I don't know, Null #1, for example.
Okay.
So, we should do a book cover on that." And everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that would sell." And then we start brainstorming on who would be good artists. And then once we nail down an artist, we talk about a concept, what we'd like to see, if we can have input with the artist, and that sort of thing. So it's a collaborative effort for sure.
But are your exclusives with the group, or do you do single exclusives?
I've started just within the year of 2020, I've started doing some small, like Vampirella and stuff with Dynamite on my own.
Okay.
Just strictly with Mutant Beaver, my Mutant Beaver logo on the back.
Okay.
So I understand what you mean with the indie stuff. It's much easier to work with.
Right.
Smaller quantities. So I've started doing that on my own.
Yeah, and there's something exciting about. For me, I always joke around that at 12 years old, even though we didn't have exclusives back then, we had variances, 35 center, 30s. That was our variant. Oh my gosh, one says 35, one says 30, or one has a barcode and one has a picture of Spider-Man in the barcode. That was kind of our way. But even back then, I said I wanted one day when I own a comic book store, I want to have a Vampirella and I want to have a Red Sonja cover. And I remember the day I got those, and they were actually connecting covers. And so I love the fact that we can literally branch out and do exciting stuff, but also have a connection to it. I think is pretty cool. I know we have a ton of people up in your area, and when they're buying, I have this thing that, man, this guy's bought 100 comics already this week, because we don't ship until they tell us to ship, so they build a box type thing. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this person's box is going to cost $125 to ship. And the second we give them that shipping price, they're like, okay, here, I paid it, go ahead and ship it.
Yeah.
I think the devotion of comic book fans are just freaking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Absolutely. Yeah.
Now, Jesse, I want to touch on something you mentioned earlier. You're doing exclusive graphic novels, is what.
Sure.
Now, I've seen Boom offer that with some of their latest emails they've sent to us. Is that a newer market? Is that something you've explored before? How do you kind of feel about that?
So originally, I'll tell the story. When we were at one point, we were having anywhere from 3 to 5 exclusives a week come out, and I mean, we were going big. At one point, I had Power Rangers going, and Rick and Morty, and Bob's Burger. And the way I worked it was, when we dealt with someone, whether it be only Press or Boom or Dynamite, in these 3 cases, we would only do it if they would allow us to do 8 to 9 exclusives. And back then, I was like the go-getter. It was like, listen, if we're going to do these 9 Rick and Mortys, no one can do Rick and Mortys during that period. And we were signing these deals, and that was the deals, because we were spending, $60,000, $70,000 on these exclusives.
Yeah.
But what happened was, I kept on asking Image, hey, can we do an exclusive? Hey, can we do an exclusive? And we were in Baltimore, and I seen front row, and I seen in front of Image, and the person said, okay, we're going to be doing Image exclusives, and we're only going to be doing trades, but the only person, they point right at me, that can't do it is Jesse. And I was like, oh my gosh, because what was happening was, we were buying like 2,500 Paper Girl #1s and selling out. Okay. And they didn't like the fact we were selling 10 to this person or 20 to Patrick or whatever it was. And so every week I would send them an email and I would get denied. I would get denied. I would get denied. And I'd say, okay, well, you didn't say no forever. You just said no this week. And so Image calls me up and they say, okay, we will do this, but you have to do 5 trades first. And I thought the same thing you just said, Greg. Trades, no one's going to want a trade exclusive. It's a trade exclusive of reprints. Yeah. Who the heck would want that? So at that time, it was monstrous. I Hate Fairyland. I can't remember all the titles. But back then, they weren't really big books. But I was able to do what Patrick did, and I called Aaron at a comic shop, and I said, dude, I got about 250 of these. I don't know if I can sell 50 of these. Will you at least buy 50? So we went half and half. And what we found out was you had people that wanted to start, but they didn't want to buy the books. They wanted to buy the trades. And then all of a sudden we were offering them something different. It was still the same price, right? It was still $10, $12 for the trade, but it was a different one. It was exclusive to that store. And at the same time, Black Mass hit me up and said, do you want to do We Can Never Go Home as a trade exclusive? I'm like, okay, we'll do that. And so what we found out was we knew that we weren't going to be able to buy these at 5 and sell for 20 or 25, like a traditional exclusive that you're 5 holding your money. But we knew we could sell out and we could take that customer and we can move them over to something else. Now, I will tell you what happened was the store that they said would never do it exclusive, when we left Diamond 2 years ago to not do new issues anymore, at that time we'd already done 28 floppy exclusives. And so sometimes I think as a business owner, we have to take big sacrifices and we have to say, let's try something different. Let's try something that wouldn't make sense to the 3 of us, but might to a comic book fan. And when you're on my eBay store and they punch an I Hate Fairyland trade and everybody is at 10, 10, 10, 10, and then they see this one for 10 as well, but it's an exclusive cover, why wouldn't they buy that?
That's true.
So I really think our job is to listen to the fan base and try not to make decisions on, my 38 years of doing this. Oh, they would never do this. And say, well, we won't know till we try. And the worst thing that will happen is we'll fail. But again, the numbers are so small. When you're talking about 250 bucks, okay, fine. It's really not that much. I got a partner on the East Coast, what was funny was I ended up buying all of Aaron's books because I was selling out so fast that I had to buy Aaron's books. So he had no risk really, because I was like, I'll take all the rednecks we did. I'll take them all. The only one that I wish we would have done a trade exclusive on was Shirtless Bear Fighter. It's the only comic I look back in my history and say, why didn't I do more? Shirtless Bear Fighter, we did in #1. We sold out in less than 2 minutes on 500 copies. And we were doing so many exclusives, I've never gone back and was able to say, hey, can I do #2? It's a fast road. I don't suggest it to 95% of the stores out there. The failure rate on new stores that do exclusives is so big that you have to establish, you have to be with a group of people. I've pleaded to some of the publishers to vet the people doing exclusives. There's exclusive out right now. The guy's he's selling it out of his garage. And it's like, and I'm like, Patrick and me are selling these exclusives and Greg selling these high-end exclusives. Then you got this guy selling these out of his garage. And it's like, this has to be harder than that.
Yeah. It's not.
No. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's what it's at. Again, I always tell people, I give them this example. Listen, if you go to Facebook and you then do an ad and you put in comic book fans, 2.8 million comic book fans pop out. I only got 300 books to sell to those fans. I have to find those fans, and then I have to create those fans, and that's important. I know out of the 300 Stabby Bunny number ones we have, half of those books are going to people that aren't buying Stabby Bunny number 2. They're just not. And I think once you accept that, the exclusive world is a little bit more easier.
Yeah, that's true.
What else, guys?
So we do have DC Fandom coming up on Saturday, this giant event. Are you all planning on, either of you all planning on watching that?
I'm going to check it out for sure. Yeah.
You know what? I'll watch. I'm kind of the afterwards guy. Give me the clip notes type guy. I think my world is, I get up at 6 a.m. and I go to midnight, and it's just this plethora of comic books nonstop. I mean, you can hear in the background all the ripping of tape as the shippers are shipping boxes. And for me, if I take 10 minutes away, it's very challenging. I always look and I say, oh my gosh, what did I miss? I could have sold this, or a customer is in the store. Let me go grab and show them the new graded comics that we have. We had a guy come in today for a book, and he walked out with 5 new graded comics. And I'm sitting there saying that you got to really justify your time. And even Patrick, you can say, well, I'll kind of watch it. But so much is going on in the comic book world, and DC knows this, that we have to sell books constantly. I think my fear in the comic book world is that we have a lot of publishers, and DC would probably be accepted. We have a lot of publishers talking, but they're not getting comic books to people. And if you don't have comic books as a comic book store, it doesn't help you. Listen, I know I get myself in trouble for saying this, but a publisher did this great thing for a week, and you just did this. That's all you did. But at the end of the day, no comic book stores went to a comic book store to sell, and comic book stores need help. So I'm hoping the DC Fandom event is great, and I think I hope it's very informative. I will give you a little note on stuff like that. Most of the stuff, once you've done this a lot of time, you already know what's going to be said. It's kind of like going to San Diego Con and saying, oh my gosh, I didn't know that was going to sell out. But you were told 2 days ago, you better be in line first for this.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I would like to see other publishers do it. The publisher I would like to see really get out there is Marvel and engage in something. DC's kind of over engaging. Hey, here's free mask, and here's this, and hey guys, we got the returnables. Send me everything you didn't sell. Marvel, what are you doing? And I know you got the exclusives coming out, but it's that single $4 book that customer walks in, and maybe that's all they can afford. So I think the biggest companies right now we're looking for is Marvel to come out. Look what Boom's doing. You can't put down your freaking phone unless you get a thing from Boom every day, or Scout Comics announcing this, announcing that. Brian Polito. Next time I have to look at his Kickstarter, breaking X ways, it's like, okay, guys, I need something new and I need something fresh. That's all great stuff, but someone needs to actively come in and move the needle towards other directions. I think that's kind of cool. It's hard, and Patrick will tell you this. When you know you have your exclusive coming in 2 days before, and you got that 48-hour period before you rock and roll,
yes,
and you start, bag and boarding and shipping, and who's this and who's that and who's that, there's, what do you do before that? And that should be filled by other people, or other publishers, I should say.
Yeah, very good point.
Yep. Yeah, and again, everything's about timing. Listen, we're in August. I just talked to a company today, a big company, and he was talking about San Diego Con next year. And I'm like, dude, what are you selling today? Because I don't care about next year. Yeah. But I think what's happened is we've seen the old guard trying to evolve and and pivot and create these platforms, and it's tough because if you've been the leader at XYZ and all of a sudden you start and you kind of start at the bottom and you're working yourself up, but you've always been on top, I think there's a lot of, and I hate saying this, but there's a lot of egotism out there as well. There's a lot of people that just won't turn on the phone and learn how to do what we're doing right now. Mm-hmm. I talk to a lot of stores a week on how to do live shows, and they just can't get past the, what do you mean I have to go on Facebook Live? Well, but you should already know how to do this. Live shows are, I tell people, live shows is you need a comic, you need yourself, a piece of paper, and a pen. That's a live show. There's more work that goes into doing an exclusive than you ever have to work on a live show.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Do you do live shows, Patrick, at all, or what?
I don't at this point, but something I've looked at.
Okay. What? Just because we're chit chatting, what would be the things that would that you're unsure of?
Pardon me?
What would be the kind of things that you look at and you say, man, I don't know, I'm not unsure how that works, or do you kind of have a game plan, but you?
I think for me, I'm comfortable with the technology part of it. That's not. I come from an IT background, so I'm comfortable that way. I think maybe it's probably more of a personal thing, putting myself in front of the camera. Just something I need to do more often. Stuff to actually just like this, doing more of this to get more comfortable. Yeah. Being in front of the camera. I don't know. How did you find it, Greg, when you guys started up?
Corey dragged me in front of the camera. As little as I'm talking now is usually about all you can get out of me. So I'm not great. Like I'm still adapting to kind of not be camera shy or get anxious about it.
And I was watching. I was seeing Darren from Unknown Comics, and during the pandemic, he was making an effort to go on Facebook Live just to chat to people to get comfortable. Right. And I kind of admired that. I noticed he was doing that. He would just go on and say, "Hey, I'm just on here just trying to get used to this," and getting out of his comfort zone. So I think that was a great example of somebody shifting gears to do that. So
yeah. So Comic Book Shopping Network has 21 stores that do live shows 7 days a week. It's something like I forgot the amount of hours, about 62 hours a week we have people on live shows. And if you go from show to show, everybody has different personalities. And I was just talking to someone today that 10 years ago, I couldn't I'd go try to shake his hand behind his booth and he'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to leave my booth." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just shaking your hand, dude." "Oh, okay." Once you get past you got to get past you. That's the challenge. There are people that can't look in the mirror and talk to themselves, let alone talk to hundreds of people. And that's the challenge. So when I show people numbers, an average show on Comic Book Shopping Network has about anywhere from 1,500 to 1,700 unique viewers right now. That doesn't mean you have 1,700 buyers. That means you have people watching afar. Your number in the corner, obviously, is your friends that are watching you. So you should feel comfortable when you first do your shows, Patrick, that those people in the corner are your friends. And then I tell people that the biggest thing is it's okay to screw up. If you try to be too perfect during your show, people just won't watch you. I have to do this so much and walk off the screen and restart and say, okay, take two, go, go, go. I know I was talking about Amazing Spider-Man, and everything behind me right now is Superboy, because you get into the mix. You also have to realize that, like in my case, if you watch my show, I'll be going and Steve Jeppy is on. And I'm saying, "Oh my gosh, Steve Jeppy's watching," but you're so connected with who's watching you, and and every customer, you in the back of your head, okay, this Steve just came in. Okay, this person likes heavy metal magazines, and you got heavy metal magazines ready to go, but Paul just came in and Paul wants Cerebus, so you're grabbing Cerebus from the side. I'm a little bit different. I have an aide who's grabbing all this stuff and doing it. But at the end of the day, if you get past that part, like the three of us are doing right now, and I know I'm doing the majority of the talking, my hands are going all over the place, but that's just what it becomes, right? And so the comic really becomes so secondary. Me selling my exclusives, it really becomes, I become part of my exclusive, and I'm so excited about it. Greg has seen this, Corey has seen this. We're all literally have the comic book backboard like this and say, okay, folks, I only have 10 of these. They're $20 each. I'm not even going to tell you what it is. I'm just going to tell you, you need to have it right now. And before I turn it around, all 20 have been sold. Now, trust me, they're great books. I'm not turning around NFL Super Pro number 10, but you get that excited. So to me, if you do more shows like this, you start to get into this comfort zone, and you set your expectations extremely low. I tell people, listen, if you do $100 and you do 2 hours shows, that's $50 an hour. Who pays that much? Type of thing. And you look at it that way. But this is a fun business, and I think at the end of the day, you will laugh at your first couple shows as you get to your 100th show. I'm on show 564 tonight, 564 shows. And you start looking back, and I'm laughing at show 250.
Yeah.
Now saying, what the hell was I wearing there? That shirt, that hat doesn't match the shirt. Because the funny part about doing shows is people start to look at how you dress.
Oh, really?
Do you match? Right now I'm wearing an Iron Maiden shirt, so that wouldn't surprise anybody. If I was wearing a Boys to Men shirt, trust me, I don't know if I'd be able to sell a book for the first 10 minutes because everybody would be laughing at me.
Yeah. Yes.
So be prepared to entertain, be prepared to let them know a little bit about you. And I think that's how you become successful in the live show venue. It's a challenge. I have to manage sometimes 5 to 7 shows a day, whether they're late or they're early. Some shows will start early, and I'm listening to the other show PM me. This guy started 2 minutes early. I'm still showing my X-Men giant size number. That type of deal. Not realizing that it's next customer up, it's next show up, and so I think you will enjoy it. I haven't talked to anybody that hasn't enjoyed it. I think getting past those jitters, we have one show, I am telling you, I wouldn't have to tell you this. You could just go on Comic Book Shopping Network tonight and figure it out. There's one show, this guy thinks, it looks like he's so mad at the world. His hair goes all over the place, and I watch, because, I got to review everything. I'm like, what is he mad about? But his customers like the stick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they love it. It would be like me not wearing a hat. It would be like Greg not wearing a hat right now. Yeah. People are like, what the hell is going on with those guys? I got to buy because we got to make sure you can afford a new hat. That type of concept. So I think live shows are third market. It's a new market, secondary market, eBay, first market, obviously brick and mortar. And the third market is, can you get used to showcasing yourself to customers 4 or 5 times a week, realizing that you can pivot on your show and have your Vampirella exclusive, and then boom, show that Venom exclusive and make it work, make it make sense. So that's really cool. But yeah, back to what we really were talking about was publishers, please step up. Please get some books to comic book stores, because at the end of the day, we need comic book stores open. And, I just saw the store, a big store business a long time in Hawaii closed. And it's so disheartening to see stores close. In the business world, obviously it's okay, I can sell those customers. A customer loses a store. Okay, how do I get those customers and how do I sell them? But on the flip end, it's not good seeing stores close. Patrick, you know this. Look at the last 2 years of how many big box sellers are gone off eBay. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how many big box sellers have just disappeared.
Yeah, you're right.
And they haven't adapted. So that's what my goal is to help more customers or help more people sell books, get out there, make customers happy, and really prepare for, you said it, and it's so funny. I refuse to say what Patrick said at the beginning. 2020 has been this awesome year. But in reality sense, real figures don't lie, right?
Yeah.
And I think you have to just be conscious to those stores that aren't having a good year. But I think you can only help stores just so much also. I think that's the challenge. How is it in Canada? Are you seeing all the stores survive? Or I know you're online, but store wise.
I think I haven't heard of really any Canadian stores closing that I'm aware of. I know some have struggled, and some have had to pivot and adapt in other ways, and they have. I've noticed some changes in different stores across the country, but I haven't heard of anything closing, so that's a positive.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
And how do you? So when you get your exclusives, are they going to the American stores first, or are you getting them simultaneously?
No, the entire allotment would go to one of our U.S. stores, and they would separate it up and ship it out to the partner stores. Okay. But they're very efficient and quick at it, just like Greg is, and they get them out quickly to us. So there's not much of a wait.
Okay. And do you have a web page, a eBay page? What are all the ways you sell those?
So I have a Shopify store. Okay. And I also have an eBay store as well that I sell through too. So
now, isn't your Shopify is not connected to your eBay store?
Oh, it is. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah.
And
then of course I'm on Facebook as well and that sort of thing.
Okay. And Shopify, and I'm just asking this because this is what we're getting ready to do. Does Shopify take it out of your inventory on eBay, or do you have to separate the inventory for the two?
It'll come out of the inventory in Shopify.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's awesome. How long have you been on Shopify?
About 2.5 years.
Okay. Yeah. Oh wow, you're like a senior on Shopify.
Yeah, well, a little bit, learning as I go, but I like Shopify. I'm happy with that format.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, just the analytics page, I still go to every day, and I'm just browsing through it. Like the data they collect there is astounding.
Yes, I agree with that. Yeah. Pretty amazing.
On the analytics, are you seeing more younger shoppers, or is it still staying in that 30 and up range?
For me, it's the 30 and up range for sure.
Okay.
I don't know about you guys, Greg, but
it's about the same. We don't. We need to find a way to get kids to read comics. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think I did this post about I think it was about 4 weeks ago, and it's me in 1982, and I took this picture of the store, and we were having an event. I don't know what we were doing, but we were having an event. It was all 12 to 18-year-olds in this picture. Awesome pictures, like 40 kids in the store. And I took a picture that week at an event we were doing, and the same picture kind of from the same angle, and it was all 35 to 60-year-olds, and it was that same group of people buying from 1982 that I was still selling.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's, I think there was a surprise. I always tell the story that in 1982 you got new issues on Friday. You didn't know what you're getting. A pull box holder they would all come at 5 o'clock. We get the box about 4:30, and at 5 o'clock, I would open the door, and all these box holders would come in, and you'd open up the box and say, "Okay, who wants Wolverine #1?" And people would raise their hand. That's how people bought books back then. You didn't know it was coming. If you ran out, you went to your eBay store, which was obviously 7-Eleven and the rack, and you would go to your eBay store. That was our eBay store back then. I think customers nowadays know too much before it comes out, and so the young person who's so far ahead of us that is pre-ordering, and they're doing this and not doing live shows because they already bought it, and they really don't need the experience to be around other comic book fans because that's the way they're brought into the comic book world. If we talked about comicology, that type of digital comics, in 1982, people would laugh at us.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, now it's 5% of the business, growing. That's awesome. That's great. I love digital comics. To me, it doesn't hurt me a bit because I'm going to sell that person at some point. because I do sell stuff that you can't get on digital, and I think that's the key there. But yeah, that's going to be the key to the success of comics in about 10 years as this new generation actually takes hold, and they will run the gambit, and we will see. My average customer in my store is 35 years and older. So that's a scary, scary thing to think that it's going to be 45 and older, 55 and older. How do you adapt to that? The person who's buying exclusives, most of those customers, they're exclusive buyers. So why would they go into a store to look at Scooby-Doo number 24 that comes out this week or last week that came out? Yeah. So that's what we have to figure out. But I challenge you to do more online. I know, Greg, this is the first time you've been solo with us on 19 shows.
Oh, yeah.
Do it more. Greg follows me on my page. Listen, I'm talking about cupcakes today, pie, and all this stuff. But believe it or not, the secret to that world is that's why people buy books from you, because they want to know you. And I think when someone opens up their wallet, don't you want to kind of say, I want to give that person my money?
Yeah.
Kind of, I'll give you a prime example, best example possible. Me and my friend went into a store yesterday, or a couple of days ago, and my friend was at the checkout, $700, and this guy just was not. It was kind of like we were doing he was doing us a favor selling that, and just before he gave the card, he's like, you know what? Go ahead and keep those. I'm not going to buy these. And we walked out, and I said, why didn't you needed those books? And he goes, I'm not giving him my money. And so customers, I will tell you, they really vet us, and you can have the greatest cover in the world, but if they don't like you, I'll give you a prime example for Patrick. And Patrick, we're just meeting for the first time. But if I didn't like you, I know I can get that book from someone else because we have all these partners. So I want to get all my books from you. Yeah. So that's the fun part.
Yeah, no, it's all about building a relationship and nurturing it for sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. So that's why I said, just guys, be active, get out there, turn on the camera, talk to a buddy, and really test yourself on longevity. If I have to turn on the camera and I have to talk for 2 hours, don't hand me a piece of paper. I don't need it. I'm verbatim master, and let's just have fun and let's sell books. I sent out a picture, I think it was 3 weeks ago, Greg, where I showed the picture sleeping with my dogs. I literally, on the couch. I literally sleep on the couch up to 1 minute before the show. And then my girlfriend comes in and says, okay, show starts. And I'm so pumped up because I don't know what I'm going to sell. And so I start going, oh my gosh. And I'm like more into it than the people watching me. And they're like, can you just get to the next book? We're glad that you remember Purge number 2 from 1992. What's the next book?
Yeah.
So really that's all I got. I love shows like this because it's really organic. And I think people like to listen to shows where, 100 shows from now, you guys are going to be rocking and rolling and, have lassos and all this stuff, jumping up and down. And you'll go back to this show, Patrick, and say, I remember when I made that choice to start doing live shows. So, so great. Awesome.
Great. No, thanks for the advice. That's really good advice and knowledge you got there.
Yeah. And listen, we are going to rock and roll. We have our August 28th show. We have 3 exclusives for that show. We are already doing our 666 show, but you probably can guess who we're doing exclusives for that show. So we're planning for a 666 show. That's going to be about 5 exclusives on that. But all during that time, we're going to have a plethora of books. We just bought a big collection today. So we'll be showcasing that on that. And Comic Book Shopping Network is adding 2 new shows. And we are then be promoting, Greg, we're then trying to do it with you guys first. We're then be promoting our new channel, which is an amazing channel, which will, Comic Book Shopping will still go, but it's kind of the big box channel with all the big boys involved in it. So we're very excited to announce that pretty soon. So that's what I got, folks. I thank you very much. Just make sure you're slinging books.
All right. Patrick, you want to promote the site and any closing thoughts for you?
Sure. Well, I'm mutantbeavercomics.com. I'm based out of Canada, but we ship worldwide on a daily basis. And we offer everything from back issues, pull lists, graded books, signed books, full line of comic book supplies, which we all need. And just great customer service is what we focus on. And you can find us at mutantbeavercomics.com. Yeah, so that's what I got, guys. But it's been great. Nice to talk to both of you.
Yeah.
Everybody go ahead and pre-order Nightwing 76, the B cover from Alan Qua. I want to make that like the highest selling Nightwing issue in this run right here. Somebody might be on the cover, I don't know. But so everybody order a copy of that. I'll sign it for you too.
Okay. That's a gorgeous cover. I saw Alan promoting it. Yeah. Great stuff.
But I'm excited for that. So go out and buy that. But thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Jesse. And I hope to have both of you back on.
Yes, anytime. I'd be happy to come back on here. So it's great to meet you. Okay.
All right. Pleasure to meet you. I'll keep in touch.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night. And we'll be back next week for Retailer Roundtable number 20. Ooh.